Twilight Gets a Puppy. By TDR. Chapter 62. Howl of the Cutie. Part 1. Ponyville Schoolhouse. Seriously, this thing is never named. The chaotic chatter of foals filled the room as Mrs. Cheerly settled into her desk. It was still a few minutes until class began and the foals were still adjusting to being back in school for a week now. The ringing of the bell would signal them all to be ready to learn, so she let them talk and argue and do whatever they were doing until that time. Better she let them get it out of their system now. Still, once again she was glad she was only dealing with 4th through the 8th grade. Ponyville Starter got them while they were still screaming toddlers, and they were gone to Canterlot High before they became surly teenagers. Not to say that there were not issues, mind you, and there were several students she still taught privately whose families didn't want them taking the round-trip train ride to Canterlot every day, either because the foals were needed on the farm, or other more personal reasons. This was still a mostly rural community after all. But all in all, she was teaching what many considered the sweet spot in the age groups. As the foals chatted about their weekends, Cheerly took the time to look through her planner for the day. Her eyes ran down her list when she noticed an extended break period had been penciled in right after class was to start. She frowned slightly, trying to recall why she had done that, though looking up on her list the answer became clear. She wondered if she would have to alter today's lesson plan to accommodate him, but after a moment's thought she opted to avoid the change. After all, it was likely something he was unfamiliar with too. She rose from behind her desk after shutting her planner and headed to the door, looking around curiously in the hall, seeing no sign of him. Odd, he had seemed rather excited when they had talked, though it wouldn't be the first time some pony had overslept when shifting to a new schedule. Well, it would still be a good idea to lead off with the new information. It was only a pity she wouldn't have anyone else in his scholastic group. Dogwood and Sandy were going to be graduating and headed to Canterlot High at the end of the year, and she would be getting in a few new students next term. Likely a few more this term as well if Mrs. Crabapple finally retired, as she kept proclaiming she was going to do. A loud popping sound, followed by a thunderous crash and a few of her students screaming out, brought her out of her thoughts. She jerked back into the classroom to see a number of her students had left their desks and run to the other side of the room, away from a massive pile of textbooks that had appeared between her desk and theirs. Cheerly blinked as the bell finally rang and the pile of books started moving on its own. A purple-clawed hand poked out, trying to move a particularly heavy dictionary off what she assumed was its head. Cheerly sighed, realizing what was going on. "While I appreciate your efforts not to be tardy, we have doors for a reason," Cheerly chided, trotting over to help him emerge from the pile he was buried in. "Tell that to my sister," muttered a voice from the pile. "First she was piling books on me that I might need, then she freaked out at the time, and here I am." "Well, you are here on time, so I suppose there is that." Cheerly smiled, glad she had written in the extra time. "Class, I would like to introduce a new student starting this semester. He's a week behind, so I'm sure some of you would like to help him catch up." The purple-scaled figure finally climbed up out of the books, removing a math tome from his head where it had gotten impaled on one of his spines. All of the foals in the room looked at the dragon before them like he was a live viper ready to bite, all save one. Hello, the dragon started before the one filly, unafraid of him, spoke up with a smile. "Hi, Spike!" Apple Bloom shouted. Hi. Yeah, I'm Spike." Spike offered with a wave to the others. "Guess I'm your new classmate." Author's note. And thus a new episode starts. I know winter wrap-up was supposed to be next, but I did say I was altering the canon episode list a few times. Winter wrap-up is still gonna happen, but more towards, well, springtime in T-Gap timeline. It's fall now. Summer sun happened in summer, so it's probably late August about now in T-Gap canon. End author's note. End chapter 62. Howl of the Cutie. Part 1.